honestly, there's enough to try to examine about the life that you have around you, and more than that, the life that you are leading inside of your own head and your heart. It is more advantageous to a person to understand his thought process and how to process his emotions,
Right.
rather than figure out some conspiracy theory. And all you really want to do is be right.
Okay, why don't we try to, you and I right now, try to find out maybe it's one thing that we are both like, all right, I'm on this side about, and I'm on
Like
this side
staunch.
about.
Okay, I can give you an example of something. I bet, because I'm like you're a New Yorker, right? Like you're pretty much native New Yorker.
I mean, I was born in Venezuela, but I grew up here. Yeah.
Okay, bet. How do you feel about BMWs?
I love BMWs.
Of course, I fucking hate those things.
Why?
Something about driving a BMW turns a person into a real piece of shit. I've learned.
What the fuck?
I knew when it was getting good when I didn't fear silence anymore, and I didn't understand what that meant until I was starting to feel like understand the good silence, and then I was just like,
oh. That means they want to listen to you.
Yeah, that means you got them. Yeah. And if you're cool, that means so much more to me than you being hot, because yeah, it'll get me there, but like the personality will hold me no matter what. But the people that are really invested in being hot don't really tend to invest very much in being cool.
She's gotta be cool, but she also gotta like suck your dick really good.
Go. It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know.
So yeah, we got Herbie Gill in the crib. What's up, man?
Thank you for having me.
How you feeling?
I'm good. We've been trying to do this for a long time.
A long time, man. I appreciate this. I appreciate you coming by. I definitely want to start off by saying this guy right here, he's a funny ass comedian. And like for me, I'm always I've met a lot of dope comedians, and just because maybe you see them on the screen, it doesn't relate the same when you see them in real life sometimes.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you catch people at the wrong time too. Yeah. So I understand that. But you're genuinely a funny guy. I remember meeting you at the bar. Yeah. You were bartending. You were having me cracking, like you were cracking jokes. I was laughing my ass off, chilling. And then I asked you for your Instagram, told you about how I was going to start the podcast and blah, blah.
And I was about it from Jump Street.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because like I don't even think I think I'm the least funny when I was bartending. I'm not doing it anymore now, which is great. But like, I'm not one of those always on comics. Like always on comics kind of exhausts me, because it's like, it's very performative, so you got to sit there and be like, ha, ha, ha. Like I'm just trying to have a regular conversation with you, so it's like it's tougher when somebody's always on. So I appreciate you saying that, because I don't think I was trying.
Nah, but I feel like that's part of it too. Like I feel like you got to be naturally funny, like not something that you're trying to be, or sometimes there's got to be moments that you just naturally make people laugh. I feel like to a degree I have that. I feel like to a degree I have that, but I feel like there's another element to comedy that I haven't even touched yet, which is writing comedy particularly. I've written 2 jokes. I can share.
Have you tried them anywhere?
No.
Oh,
but but I've tried them with people just to see how like they would, like how it would hit. I'm gonna try it right now with you. All right, you ready? All right, bet.
Go for it. I'm not gonna look at you because I like to do it like I'm listening to somebody's album.
All right, whatever you want, man. Yo, so you ever try to read someone's shirt, but they're too fat? So you're trying to so you're trying to look under their fat, and they catch you looking? No, all right.
No, there's something.
Okay,
there,
something's there, right? All right. What if the reason you mad she left is because you didn't?
Oh yeah, like you were supposed to do it first. That's great. That's interesting.
I don't know if that was too like sometimes that one goes over people's heads.
Nah,
it's too quick sometimes.
Well, here's the like something like that. If it's the idea is there and I get it right away, so it might just be in the wording. A lot of times you just got to sit down and reword jokes. But I'm already thinking about that. You're like, man, I had this whole thing planned. It was gonna be great. Like I had this whole suit. Right. I was gonna make a flash mob. It's like she just killed my whole shit. Yeah, I can totally understand it.
This is the last one. Sometimes I feel my dad ruined my family to make me a better man.
I've felt that. I felt like, so you got some decent premises there. Like I like them. Like develop it. I think that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. I just like, to be honest, there's something about comedy that definitely draws my attention. I love music, you know what I mean? That's why I love to do. But I love hearing people laugh, yo. And I love knowing that I made them laugh. That is something that I do like
crazy.
naturally, though. Now, you know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
something that happens, like you can definitely tell when it's, when you make adults laugh or something like that when you're a kid, it's something that sticks with you forever. And I know for a fact it stuck with me, like that one moment where you realize you can maybe not control a room quite yet, but like you had attention and you used it in a way that created this reaction out of somebody. It's crazy how that works, and it's like I still like it. I still like I was a musician too. I mean, I still play stuff, but like there were so many different things that I could have done. I was an artist. I was a musician. I was an athlete. All this stuff, but it's like I found comedy. I was like, oh, this is the thing.
What kind of athlete?
Oh, I was a basketball player.
Oh, word? You was nice?
I was trying to play D1 ACC at the time because I was nice and foolhardy, but I was undersized the entire time. Okay. So like when I was trying to play ball, Jason Hart was the dude that was like the man at Syracuse. And he's like a 6'7" point guard. Sheesh. And I'm coming up in the Iverson era too. So I'm just like, I'll just go outside with a frozen jug of water and a basketball, just look for games. I was that dude.
So when you say you come up in the Iverson era, are you trying to compare that to as in like, you have no excuses?
Well, like, yeah, if you could walk, you could play. Like, I'm small, but I don't care. So I find the biggest dude out there. Like, I know I got him. Yeah. And it's like... It was like if you had a small dick fucking somebody where it's just like, listen. You said what? I might not knock it out, but you're gonna know I was there. Like I'm just gonna keep pressing you. Okay. And it was like something I love. I was a little guy, and you end up being like a mascot unofficially, and it's like whatever. I definitely want to. I knew I wanted to try and play, and I wanted to do it as best I can because it was a respect thing. I never had a Napoleonic complex in my life with anything but basketball. So
you said Napoleonic.
Like, I know
Napoleon complex.
Like the little man shit. Where it's like I was fine with it. I wasn't trying to like overcompensate or anything like that. But when it came to basketball, it was like something that you could still play even though you were little. Like you couldn't really do that playing. Like not that I would have because I didn't really like football like that. But you couldn't do that playing football or anything. Like basketball.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like basketball. Like I remember Spud Webb and Muggsy Bogues, and like they were the reason I played because my freshman years when I started, I was 4'10". Sophomore year, I was 5 feet tall.
You were 4'10"?
Yeah.
Wow, bro.
I was little. I didn't. When
was your growth spurt?
Between sophomore and junior year, I sprouted 8 inches.
Okay. 8. Yo, son. That changed that changed shit, right?
Tell me that. You know, like
did that change
movies?
Shit?
Kind of, not really.
Okay.
I mean, like. Because it's like I'm still undersized,
right.
But at the same time, it's like it was like one of those Disney movies or like one of those children's lesson movies where you're like, all right, I wasn't able to dunk until I gave up wanting to be like I'm just like all right, I guess it's just not gonna happen for me. And it's like I was able to dunk in my lifetime. I wasn't flushing it,
right?
But I could get up there.
You got there.
And that was enough for me. Like
that's an accomplishment.
As soon as the height stopped mattering to me, then it like I was given a little bit of it. So I was never even supposed to be this tall. Like my sister's 5 years younger, and there was a maybe period of 3 years where she was taller than me.
5 years younger?
Yeah, because she sprouted early.
How'd that make her feel?
5'8", 5'9" now. I don't really know if she cared that much about it.
Okay, no. So she wasn't really like dogging you about it. She wasn't making you feel like
No, because and it's also because she doesn't look like a dummy. She looks like a grown ass woman at this point.
What do you mean
by it? Looks like a halfling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I look like a hobbit or something like that.
Hold on, pause. Let me just get a lighter real quick. Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah, you got one here.
Nah, I didn't. Those are out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dead soldiers.
That's it.
Pause for edit.
Dead soldiers.
That's what they used to call them when somebody burns something down to the filter or something like that.
That's funny.
Those are dead soldiers. You just like had to.
That's hilarious.
Those are defeating two people because they're like, no.
Yo, are there any like drawn conspiracies that you're into right now in this day of your life, or are you just so fed up with all the conspiracies? Are you at the point in your life where you're just like, man, I don't even give a fuck?
It's real. I'm definitely more of the I don't give a fuck camp because like and I was seeing other episodes of the podcast. You got people that have mad conspiracy theories on here.
Yo, right?
Like, mad conspiracy theories.
I know. But this is also something that I want to illustrate because there's people that truly believe in what they say and they have information that they feel is accurate that backs it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? For me, this is how I look at it. Life, you'll never fucking know. You'll never really know.
Right.
Certain things will be concrete, right? But like, if it has to do with the past, man, that shit's basura, bro. That shit's gone, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause first of all, history is written by the victor. So what the fuck does that say?
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? There's a whole other shit that just doesn't, like, just what? Okay,
Right.
so all that just goes out? So all the shit that actually did happen, that's just supposed to be like...
Right.
Okay,
So
so
past
history-
things I really don't care about. But if
Right.
it's present stuff, like, it's so easy to see something that's, like, not even really a conspiracy theory. It's something that's, like, it's probably... no, like something like
Flat Earth?
Not flat Earth, not something that's like, oh, it's clearly not that, or like they fake the moon landing or something like that. I'm like, okay, I don't.
You don't care
How
about
much
it.
did it affect your life beforehand? Like,
Right.
like if
Right.
you thought the moon landing was a real thing, and now you find out the moon landing was fake, but you work at McDonald's, like, who cares? Like,
Right.
it doesn't affect your day to day one way or the other.
That's true.
So if they're aliens, like, they're like, oh wait, they're saying they have a record of aliens at Area 51. I'm like, all right.
What does that do?
What else? Why? How does that really affect my life? And it's like, I can understand that there's certain things like,
Deep state.
yeah, like deep state stuff. Like I'm also from DC too. So
Okay.
so it's
Originally.
like, not originally. Like I was born in LA, but I spent most of my grown up years in DC, like in the DC tri-state area.
Okay.
And you learn a fair amount of cynicism just being there because it's like you're around the lawmakers and the people that are like, this is supposed to be the I'm gonna mess this whole thing up.
No, I forgot about that.
But it's like you're in a. It's supposed to be like the power seat of the world, but then it's like, oh, these are the people that are in power. This doesn't make any sense. This is dumb. This is dumb. Oh, I see how they do that. That doesn't make sense. So like, if you gain a fair amount of cynicism early, you're just like, none of this makes any sense, and it doesn't really matter to me. And I still like, you're thinking about other stuff. You got better fish to fry than trying to figure out if Kentucky Fried Chicken is putting chemicals in your chicken. I don't eat a Kentucky Fried Chicken, so oh well, like good luck to you.
Are you saying that when you were living in DC that you felt, because you were living there, the mystery or the lure of many conspiracies diminished because you saw the reality of certain things?
I feel like, honestly, there's enough to try to examine about the life that you have around you, and more than that, the life that you are leading inside of your own head and your heart. It is more advantageous to a person to understand his thought process and how to process his emotions,
Right.
rather than figure out some conspiracy theory. And all you really want to do is be right. That's it.
But why?
Like, why do you want to be right about it, or
Yeah.
why
do you think that because let me ask you, in your own life, you ever been so right, but you didn't need to fucking state it?
This makes me think of every relationship I was, because you know when you got somebody dead to rights and somebody's giving you some like here's the deal. If you're right, there's no reason to lose your mind over it. You just have to wait.
Right.
You
That's
just have to be
facts.
like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
right.
Because then when you get proven right, you're just like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
right.
And that again, that shows a little bit more of the character of a person, and also why it's more important to understand how you process emotions and how you process that thing. When that event happens, you have to. It's going to be a more of a show of your character, how you react to that. Because people can be right all the time. Like, that's just how it is. But like, are you going to be gracious with that? Are you using that as if somebody's wrong, are you using that as a point of ridicule, or are you using that as a teachable moment? So it's things like that. Like, I think the people that are into conspiracy theories like that, they have the intention of wanting it to be a teachable moment, but they act like they're just trying to be right. And that's the thing that kind of turned me off of it. That's why I'm like, man, I don't care. You're a dickhead. If we're on the same side of something, something's already messed up. So
Okay.
but yeah, I was thinking about that as I was watching some of your stuff. I was just like, man, do I really give that much of a fuck about something that like
Dive that deep?
yeah, like there were so many other things to examine that like are like right there in front of you. That I'm
Well,
just
let me
like, oh, man.
let me just pose the question just to juxtaposition in your mind real quick.
Okay.
The interconnectedness
Mm-hmm.
of everything is a result of how you live your life. So perhaps the reason why certain people dive deeper into certain realms is because they see that and they witness that, okay, perhaps we live a certain way now because of these certain things that happened then.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think there might be some weight to that, you know? I do agree with you in terms of not needing to lose your mind for it, though. You know what I mean? Like there is certain aspects to life when you dive deep in and you look at it and you're like, well, this is fucking interesting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, well, this is weird. You know
But it
what I mean?
only
Like,
happens like that
but
when
you
it's
don't
something
need
that
to-
touches you. Like,
Yes.
what affects you, and that's just it's just how it is. Now you can have somebody use that as a teachable moment and be like, okay, this is why it should affect you. But a lot of times people are just sort of trying to browbeat you with
Yeah,
facts
I don't like that
and be
either.
like, yeah. And
Right.
so what are you trying to recruit me for? Like, are you trying to get me to actually agree with, not even agree with you, but see where you're coming from? Because here's the other thing too.
Recruit me.
If you have a conspiracy theory, I'm not gonna sit up here and like I can't fight with you about it. You believe what you believe.
Right, right.
That's real to you, and I won't judge you for that. But please don't make me have to agree with you or
Yeah.
have to think the same thing for us to even continue as
Right.
social people.
Right. No, but that's another great thing about everyone that I have on the podcast. Generally, like especially like the people that I have on, I feel like they understand where I'm going with this. Where like I'm having different forms of life being presented in the podcast,
Right.
where they all have their own frame of mind. So
Yeah.
they're getting this platform to illustrate that, and along with anything else that they do. Like you're a comedian, but you are also very insightful. You find certain things and you look at things practically instead of like.
I think that's
me,
a comedian
in a robust way.
A comedian straight. Like they all have that. They've all in a way been like my philosophers, my teachers, my mentors, stuff like that. So I feel like being a comic forces you to look at things in a different perspective, but also to sort of back off of people that have a different perspective. Like it's okay to have a different opinion. In fact, that's how we grow.
Yeah.
If we have a different opinion. So I will never say that somebody is not allowed to think what they think or believe what they believe. I might believe something different, but it's like I don't know if you ever read the Hagakure with the Samurai Code.
Nah.
Talk
Talk to me about it.
It's a dope thing. I love philosophy books and stuff like that. And I remember the Hagakure is just like the Samurai Code. It said somewhere in that like one should be able to hear any other viewpoint and still be more secure with your own. So it's like I
love that.
I don't understand people who
love
feel
that.
like their ideal is threatened by somebody else's opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's great to, I don't know, have conversations, especially with those people.
I love that.
Yeah, like, cause I couldn't just imagine just talking to somebody that's exactly like me the whole time. I
Right.
feel like that would be fucking annoying.
No, and then, yeah. I mean, for a second, in the beginning, you're like, God damn, why have I not seen you before?
Right.
But like, that's the thing.
Yeah, for a second.
If people are truly allowing themselves to have a debate about something or to have a conversation about something, it means that, all right, I have my viewpoint and I'm not trying to force it on you. I'm just giving you a difference of perspective. But a lot of times people hold so fast to that thing, they take offense to it and they try to wield it as a weapon rather than a tool. And that's the thing that's kind of unfortunate. And usually, if you have to say you're a conspiracy theorist, you're probably already on that side of it. Whereas before you're just like, well, I did read something interesting about Breitbart or whatever the hell it is it might be. You're just like, oh, okay, please tell me more about it. Not like, oh, like I'm like a crazy person living in a school bus bunker somewhere in the woods. It's like it's already set up for you not to accept it. Where if somebody just sort of presents it like, oh, well, this is something I thought of. But usually, especially the people that make groups out of it, they push it so hard that they push the understanding away from it as well.
There's two ways we can go into this conversation. If you have one or two, pick one or two.
Wait, I don't know what the options are yet?
Yeah. It's in my mind.
That's fine. One.
One? Okay. So one, it was the original way that I wanted to go with the conversation.
Okay.
You were saying how people are making like they can't have conversations when they have these certain differences and stuff like that. So what that made me think of automatically was, okay, why don't we try to, you and I right now, try to find out maybe it's one thing that we are both like, all right, I'm on this side about, and I'm on
Like
this side
staunch?
about.
Okay, I can
so-
give you an example of something,
all
I
right.
bet. Because I'm like, you're a New Yorker, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
pretty much native New Yorker?
I mean, I was born in Venezuela, but I grew up here, yeah.
Okay, bet. How do you feel about BMWs?
I love BMW.
Of course. I fucking hate those things.
Why?
Something about driving a BMW turns a person into a real piece of shit. I've learned.
What the fuck?
It's usually.
What the fuck?
It's usually from New York drivers.
Get
too.
the fuck out of here, bro.
Every time somebody does something crazy
we
in a
found
row-
it. That was fucking fast. I
Right.
didn't know it was gonna be that quick.
Right, but here's
what
the deal.
the fuck is
I
this
stand,
stigma with the
I
why?
stand on it. Like, here's
Nah, yo, I had a Beamer and it was fucking great. I had a great time.
all right. You probably like. I'm not. Let me say this right off top. BMWs are amazing machines. Super nice cars.
German.
Right. The problem is something about being behind the wheel of a BMW turned you into a real trick. I guarantee you. If you cutting people off in traffic, using a bus lane to get around people. Anytime somebody does something fucked up in traffic, it's usually a BMW. Sometimes I'll get so cut off I can't even see it. I'm like, I'm gonna kill every last one of you got in the fucking pieces. I get so mad.
There's gonna be one thing that I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it like that, and then we move on.
He's getting pissed about this shit.
No.
He's like, sponsor this podcast, BMW.
We'll move on from the conversation after that. But like, no. All I'm saying is this. There was one time, right? Because I wasn't doing none of that shit. But I'm not gonna lie, I started doing a little bit of that shit. But there was one time, right? Because I wasn't doing none of that shit, right? And the dude that was in the car with me that like, we're driving around, he's like, yo, bro, like, you got a Beamer, bro. Like, just do it. I was like, dang, yo, you right. And I did that shit.
That's how they sell people Beamers. I bet they're gonna like, hey, you know how they got like, laws and traffic and stuff? Like, you don't have to do any of that, You don't have to do any of that. That's for people with Hondas and whatever. Like, go. You know what? Have fun. Have fun, buddy. And everybody's driving up on curb and doing all. Did you have a white one?
No, gray.
You had a white one. I was gonna be like,
Space gray. Yo, bro, it was, I'll tell you a story, man. This is not even a car that I fucking own, bro. First of all, it was a rental. Let's get that straight. Let's get that out the window, right? First time me having this fucking car. First time. First date, right? I'm talking to this girl from that amount through Tinder. And I was like, oh. I sent her the picture. Look at the Beamer.
see?
No, but time out.
You're not like that, though.
I was mad young. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
You're not like that, though.
No, but I'm not
But
like that.
something about having
No,
this
you're right.
thing.
You're right.
Oh,
no,
my
you're
God.
so fucking right. You're so right. All right, you're right.
But
But
you-
at the same time, fuck you though, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
BMW
fuck me.
is not
Absolutely fuck me. I wish I liked. I wish I liked them better. And it's like, here's the deal.
Yo,
if
BMW, they're
BMW
fucking-
today
they're dope,
told me
bro.
they would give me a car that's like, hey, you know what? Try it, see how you like it. I know it's gonna be like the fucking
love
black
it.
Spider-Man suit.
You're gonna
and
love
I'm
it.
like, I'm like, why am I
gonna
doing
love it.
like this? I feel I'm a prick.
It's gonna be great. No, but all right, check this out, right? At this point, I didn't even have money. Like, I barely had money. Like,
Most of them don't.
I barely had money, right? And then this girl, yo, bro, my fucking card, the card that I had, it fucking, I don't know why it got declined, but it got the fucking declined. For whatever reason, I had to change the card. Some shit happened. The girl was like, "Oh, it's okay. You have a Beamer. You have a BMW." I was like, "What?" In my mind, I was like, "What?" Yo, bro, like,
Absolutely terrible.
yo, bro, she paid for the shit, right? And sucked my
She's like,
dick.
it's an investment. She's trying to stay on a winning team.
Yo, yeah, and like, we had a good time that night, basically. But it's all because of it's all because I had the BMW, bro. I assure
You got head in a Beamer. You're just like, you know what? This is not a bad car. when you got a trooper having to suck your dick in a fucking Dodge Neon like I did.
Yo, hey, more power to you, bro. And that means she really cared about the person, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Just leaning over this thing. It's like, oh, don't worry, it's plastic and it's got snaps. You can just take this right out. Go ahead.
so I mean, like, but that during that time, that gave me a lot of perspective, right? Because like, you're right. Like, I didn't have that lifestyle, nor did I really never was I really that drawn or appealed to it, really.
Right.
But it was just from the circumstance and the situation that I was in, that I was like, all right, I kind of just fell into it instead of really thinking about it.
Right.
But like a dumbass. And, you know, time fucking told me the truth, you know what I mean? And it allowed me to see a lot clearer. And it showed me that, like, yeah, you can get certain things easier when you live that way. But that doesn't necessarily mean that is for you.
No, you could, because you end up doing all these things just trying to maintain a lifestyle. And that's where, I mean, like, it's probably because of how I grew up. Like, my father was like he's like West Indian, and Guyanese people were like showy people.
Oh, you Guyanese?
Oh, yeah. Well, my father's side.
We neighbors.
Oh, word. Yeah.
I was born in Venezuela.
Oh, bet. It was like, I learned, like, we always had nice cars, nice houses, nice clothes, stuff like that. Sometimes no electricity, sometimes no food. So it's like, the trappings of the lifestyle can kind of mess you up. And sometimes, like, when, like, 'cause they were separated for a while when I was with my mom, and it was just me, my mom, and my sister, like, we didn't really have, like, we were modest. We weren't, like, it was like we were living modestly, but we didn't have to want for anything. So that early, it kind of shows you a lesson about stuff like that, where it's just like, well, how much do you really need? What's really important? Who are you doing all of this for? Like, I've always had, like, cheapo cars. Like, I would have cars that, like, if you got into a fender bender with them, it's totaled because they're that cheap. But it's like, all I really cared about was getting from one place to another. I mean, like, it's nice to have something nice, but, like, if I had all of the money in the world right now, I'd probably just get a Corolla Sport, like, from 2020, because I like it. That's the thing, too. If I like something, I don't have to explain anything.
What
to
if that
anybody
Corolla
else.
Sport was $2 million?
I could do better than that. Like, I'm like, man, that ain't worth $2 million. Let me get something else. Like, I would get it. Like, somebody would give me a BMW. I'm like, man, this is nice. I'd drive it for like a week until I feel the evil start to come up, and then I'm just gonna trade it in for 2 other cheaper cars.
Do you think that there's a difference between driving a BMW versus driving a Mercedes?
Yes, I say it's the same thing as the difference between New York and Philadelphia. Like, they're essentially the same city on paper, but for some reason, one side's got a real fucking attitude problem for no damn reason. It's like, yo, man, if you had enough, you would have just bought a Mercedes. What are you really doing? Fight me.
Oh, that's how you feel.
Please don't fight me. Please, I don't care like that. Like, this is jokes. Just be nicer in traffic.
When you're on stage, right, and you're saying shit like this, do you see people get riled up?
Not really. I'm not really like I'm not like a truth sayer on stage. I'm not like, I'm gonna tell you how it is. Like, I'm gonna say shit you can't say. I've never been that dude. It's more just my perspectives. Like, even now, if I brought up that thing because I thought it would be a funny thing, but it's like, do I give that much of a shit about it? No, not really. I'm just like, all right, well, it's like, it doesn't bother me past the 2 seconds where I'm yelling at somebody in traffic. It's just a perspective, and I can explain myself enough. I've had this thought long enough that I can explain it to you in a way that you're like, oh, I see how you arrived at that conclusion, even if I don't agree with you. So a lot, and like, my stuff is kind of like on the line anyway. Like, I'm not super edgy. I'm not like political or anything. I just like jokes, and like, my jokes are for people that like jokes, like clever shit. Where they're just like, oh wait, I see what you did there. Like, okay. That's more interesting to me. Like, I kind of don't even realize the impact of it until somebody tells me about it later, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. I actually did something.
Because it's more, it creeps up on you. It doesn't necessarily, like, it's not boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I'm definitely a writer, so I like to sort of sit down and think about something. But like, I can do crowd work. I can do stuff off the cuff. But like, I love being able to sit and flush out a thought and have somebody be like, wow, you sat and thought about that.
What's
like,
your writing structure like?
A lot of times I'll think of the other joke in the end or in the middle. When I think about it in the beginning, It's kind of like creating something out of nowhere, but I'll sort of just get an idea and I'll make a bullet point of it, and I'll see if I've been doing it long enough now that it's like I think in joke format. So I'm thinking of the setup punch format, and everything has a setup punch format. Like even if you're a storyteller, there's a setup and there's a punch to everything. So I try to think about it in that format, and then just think about how I could flush out an idea. And it's like I'll try it, and if it gets some type of traction, I'll see how much more I can get from it. Sometimes it's just something that makes me laugh, and it's like it's not getting anything from anybody else. I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell this joke. Sorry.
How would you describe a setup? Would you describe a setup as provoking thought into someone's brain, and then the joke being what disrupts it all, or like?
I see what you're talking about there. I do like when that happens, but a lot of times with me, I think if I'm getting that serious about something, I'm taking a profound argument and making it shallow. Like I like to solve a problem that I raise in my head in a way that doesn't really. It's not a way you would solve a problem, but it still kind of makes some type of practical sense. Like it's how I make sense of it in my head, but a lot of it is just perspective based. Like I'll see something and I'm just like, and you'll have that little giggle to yourself, and you're like, all right, let me flush that out. I feel like it's starting from an honest place when it's doing that, because I'm starting with something that I find interesting or something that makes me laugh. And I get inspired by other comics because like I know that I work better if I see people who think differently than I do, or see something that I don't see, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I thought of something like that. Like it helps me expand my thought to see how many different people approach something in a different way.
Do you feel that you said genuine? Do you feel like comedy is a form that derives from a genuine place?
I think when it's good, it is.
Right.
That's something I definitely had to learn later on. I'm still learning it. When there's a genuine component to it, that's the thing that resonates. That's the thing that connects to your audience. Like they are having a space with you in their mind, and sometimes in their heart, where you're using your jokes to connect with. And it's like that was part of my favorite part about it, where I'd just go on the road and be in a place where I didn't know anybody, and I was a stranger in this place. And then after half an hour to an hour of me being on stage, I've got a room full of friends or people that understand how I think or something like that. And I like that about it. And I don't think that could have happened if I didn't have some type of genuine component to it. Because I've also seen people who didn't have it, and when you don't have that, you don't really connect, and you don't get what you want. It
doesn't translate.
There's a wall there.
Right. Yeah. Now, has there ever been like weird nights?
Oh, of course.
And when I mean weird, like something's going on, like you feel it, something's weird, like something's
I had
not
a weird
aligned.
show Friday.
Talk to me about it. Like what about it was weird?
They just weren't. I was hosting this show, and as like when you're hosting a show, also as a comic, I'm always putting it on me. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this crowd's weird, even though if I think they were. I always think I could have done something better, but they were just not. They weren't really forthcoming. You ever been with a crowd of people where you could tell were not ready to have a good time? So they're just sort of sitting there. You're like, hey man, who's ready to laugh? You all ready? You already have a good show? And they're like,
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where it's difficult for me not to fight with them in my own head. Where I'm like, I already hate you all, but I still have to do a show. So
You ever just point it out?
All the time. Some of the things I find the funniest are when somebody is just calling a crowd what they are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like there's this one Patrice O'Neal clip that I absolutely love. He was one of my favorite comics of all time. And he's doing the Dirty Show. Like the show is the Dirty Show in Montreal, and he's doing all these urban legends, sex myth things in the beginning, and he's getting some laughs.
Right.
But the funniest part about that is when he's just waiting for this laugh to die down, and he just leans back in his chair. He's like, "This crowd stinks." It is so funny because I like speaking about something that's going on in a room like that because it's like it lets them know that we're watching this show too. Like we're all out here. Um, and yeah, like it sometimes it's a weird night, and sometimes part of the genuine nature of what you're doing is just being honest about that. You're like, okay, listen, I've told a crowd something. Listen, I'm not really feeling like it today. And then you start talking about that a little bit, and
That helps.
sometimes they're just like, well, bring a cheerier motherfucker up here. Man. Like, what are we doing? But like,
Like we don't give a fuck.
yeah, and it's like, and then that's the other thing too. Everybody's got something going on, so it's like it's a nice feeling when you can sort of cut through all that, and everybody could have fun together because we need them just as much as they need us.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just don't want to give it to you, and
Yeah.
what do? You still got 10 more minutes, dude. You better figure the fuck out, and that's what it is. And there's some type of nobility to that to me too. I romanticize it because I love it, but at the same time, I'm like, that's what it is. Sometimes it can't always be good.
on.
You'll be an insufferable dickhead if it was like that. Like
Right.
if you ever see those people like, oh, I always kill. I'm like, oh, you're either not listening or you're not paying attention or something like that. Like there's a disconnect there because I've had show, like Friday show. You had people that were enjoying themselves, but as soon as I got off stage, I'm like, ugh, I did not like that shit. Like it was rough, but it's part of the job. Like it's all of the things that are good about it also have a component that's bad about it, but that's part of the life you chose. And when you love something, you have to see the art in it.
Yeah.
And you don't just love the beauty of it. You gotta love the shit.
It's beautiful chaos.
Yeah. So
It's beautiful chaos. It's like life itself, right? Like if everything was just all great all the time, then how would you know a great moment?
yeah. You need you need both sides.
So explain to me a moment that it was just top notch.
Well, like where it was good.
Yeah.
I think about it like this. Sometimes when you have a crowd full of people and they're different people, they don't all know each other, but it's a crowd full of people and they have food and they have drinks and stuff like that, and you're in the middle of talking and you can't hear a single sound. No glasses clinking, no background noise, no chairs moving. It is dead silent except for what you're saying.
You hear a pin drop.
That's one of my older comics used to tell me. I knew when it was getting good when I didn't fear silence anymore, and I didn't understand what that meant until I was starting to feel like understand the good silence, and then I was just like,
That means they want to listen to you.
yeah, that means you got them.
Yeah.
So that means you could delay a punchline a little bit more. Like you make them really, really lean in for it, and then you hit them, and that's like beautiful. But then the silence is like even when it's bad silence,
Right.
It's not like 1,000 knives at you where you're like, oh God, I gotta do something. You can just sit there and be like, all right, this is what it is. Because here's the thing, they're still listening to you.
It's true.
Even if it's not going well, you still
Right.
don't hear anything. So like I feel like the biggest thing, and Patrice said this too, is like the indifference is the thing like you can love me or hate me, that's fine. That's all on the same spectrum. The thing that I worry about is indifference, where if somebody's just like, no, fuck this motherfucker, and they're turning it back to you, or they're just not engaged with what you're doing.
Right.
That's worse than silence. Silence,
Yeah.
you still got them.
Yeah.
So
that's
anytime
true.
I feel like when it's top notch is anytime you could feel a crowd, like you know where they're going. You could take them with you on this thing, and they feel good for investing their attention in you. I think that's when it's great, and that could happen with 400. It could happen with 4. So
I want you to give me an example of the first time you like handled your first heckler in comparison to the last time you handled your last heckler.
my first heckler, I can't remember. I can tell you what it was like if I ever got a heckler in like the first couple years, because a lot of it was just based on me being, I guess, funnier or quicker. The way I do my stuff on stage, it doesn't like I'll say something about something small that happens. So generally that keeps people from saying too much about me, but every now and again you got somebody that's really trying to force an angle. And I can feel myself tightening up when that happens because I'm like, and I'm just trying to be faster, beat them to the punch a little bit. And after those first couple of years, you start to realize, oh, why is anybody starting to speak up like this? They're drunk, they're showing off for their boys or their girl. It's some other thing that's about it. So then you can sort of sit back and be like,
let me see.
where's this coming from? And you can sit back and not, like, if you know that you have a control of crowd. And here's the other thing too. Nobody wants to see a heckler. Nobody gets a babysitter and travels and pays a cover and then pays a 2-drink minimum to hear somebody else fuck up something you clearly invested your night in. So sometimes I'd be like, dude, man, if we wanted to hear you talk, we all would have met up at your house. Like, what are we doing here? So a lot of times you could just sort of appeal to that. You don't even have to do too much. If somebody's definitely trying to derail a show, I feel like it's got to be like Reservoir Dogs, where it's just like, Reservoir Dogs. He's talking about like how you control a crowd when you're robbing a bank, and it's just like, all right, like if you get somebody that comes up and he's trying to jump up and be a hero, you take the butt of your gun and you break his nose. Blood's gonna go spurting everywhere. After that, everybody else saw that, they're not gonna say anything. And some other girl might try to talk shit to you, and you just look at her like you're gonna break her nose next. Then everybody's gonna let you do whatever the hell they want. I feel like if you're trying to derail a show, it's now the spectacle of fearsome acts. Now I got to be like, all right, you're just going to be made an example of. And if that doesn't happen, like, all right, I'll just take a grenade and throw it on the ground. I'm not dying. We're dying. So,
you say, like, you know, it sounds like when you began it sounds like when you began, then as you got older within comedy, you started to realize that it's what's going around this person rather than the person. Have you ever decided to like attack that thing or be like I don't know, just more deliberate?
I've got a good story about that. I had a show that I was doing at 3:00 on a Sunday at a winery. So it was kind of well-to-do people that were at this thing, and I'm doing an hour. So like I was doing well to some point, and I used to have this joke about making sure you tip the servers. And I said, like, be a good tipper. I am an excellent tipper. I have to be because society says black people don't tip. So now that means I got to over tip. I'm trying to tip 45% because I'm trying to combat the stereotype. But it's not going to change anything. No servers ever picked up my 45% tip and went, wow, 45%. I guess black people do tip. They just go, wow, 45%. He was probably raised by white people. It's a goofy joke, but it's just there to remind people to tip.
Right.
And this woman, this older lady with her husband was in the front row, and she was just not having it. She's like, no, I don't like that joke. And she was being very vocal. I don't like that one. I don't like that joke, blah, blah, blah. And I stopped the show, and I'm just like, okay, tell me, what don't you like about that joke? I'm not going to make fun of you or anything like that. And we sat and had a conversation, and she's like, because it's just not true. It's just like, I'm like, all right, well, here's why I told that joke. I've been in the service industry longer than I'm in a comic. And I feel like they're generally the most taken for granted, taken advantage of, disrespected. People don't pay them anywhere near what they should be paid. And I feel like if you don't have enough money to tip, you don't have enough money to go out. Period, point blank. Now, I do that joke to have a lighthearted way to remind people to tip. So if it makes you feel goofy and you want to tip more, great.
Did I give you a good tip that day?
What's that?
Did I give you a good tip that day?
Did they give me a good tip?
Did I give you a good tip that day that we met? You was bartending.
I can't remember you, so you must have, because if you didn't, I remember the shit out of you.
I'm saying,
yeah, I remember I see people on the street, I'm like, I remember that dude from 5 years ago. It's like vendetta shit.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was just like, I'm like, so the reason I'm doing this joke is not for me, kind of not even for you, it's for them. So I'm sorry if you don't like the joke. I'm going to keep doing it because the reason I want to do it is better than your discomfort with it.
Right.
And then the rest of the time, I had like 5 more minutes left, and I just kept telling jokes. And before every joke, I'm like, "Oh, here's another one you're gonna hate." And I just,
That's funny.
I just made her
right,
dissension corny.
Right.
But the thing that
And you made her like the runoff joke, right? Because everyone was there.
But also without making fun of what she thought about it.
Right.
Like I felt good about that just because I didn't make her look like a clown for having an opinion.
Did you get her to laugh later or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's what's up.
Because it was like, because
she got over it.
You know, well, not just that. You know, I'm not coming from a bad place.
Right.
And I stopped the show, and it wasn't a funny part, but I felt like it needed some examination, just because I'm like,
you stopped the show and actually spoke to her, which is something that you didn't have to do. She probably appreciated it afterwards.
I did it in front of everybody, and it's like I didn't make her the butt of a joke. I just I let
you want to actually like honestly break it down.
Yeah, and it's like I'd never
which
done
is
anything,
different.
I'd never done anything like that before.
Why did you decide to do that?
Because it didn't merit all the other stuff. I was too close to the end, but I was also like, I think maybe I hadn't had anybody verbally come at me for a joke like that before, while I was still on stage, and I was just confused.
You were taking it back.
Yeah, so I just wanted to address it, but then I'm like, all right, this is worthy of sort of talking about, because I've at this point I've been on stage like 45 minutes.
That's dope, bro.
You kind of know how I'm talking about stuff.
That definitely makes you different as a comic. I feel like.
I don't know. I feel like
a
lot of comics do it.
Have done it, yeah.
I feel like a lot of comics do it.
They
Like,
just get tired of the bullshit. They're just like, you know what? Let me just see if I could.
I don't know. I feel
come
like
to a common place with this person.
when you progress in your art, however that happens, like you learn different things if you're paying attention. And there are so many people that challenge themselves in different ways. Like I remember they used to say this about Damon Wayans, where he would go up on shows at the Comedy Store and be like, you know what, I think it's going to be a jazz set tonight, where he just doesn't plan it. He's just trying to figure out what he can get from it. And I think that's kind of one of the master things that master comics do, or master artists for anything. They're presenting themselves with a challenge, because after a while, killing is easy. Killing is like knowing how to control your crowd and whatever else is something that's second nature. So they're like, how am I gonna
make this better?
How can I make this better for me? How can I dig myself out of a hole a little bit? Make it a tightrope walk, which is why
that's
I know
human nature. I feel like also.
It is kind of, and that's the thing I loved about the Chappelle specials towards the end. Chappelle's my favorite. He's the reason I started doing this. But those last few specials, they bugged me a little bit, just because, like, I know what people were saying about him, what he was presenting is not how he thinks about it. But I'm like, if you're a master of something and you're already like, he even mentioned it. He's like, killing's easy. So now, like, you know what I do? I could tell you a punchline to a joke and to do the setup later. Like, that's what you do when you're just like, all right, killing's easy. What else can I do?
Right.
Can I dig myself into a huge hole and crawl my way out? I feel like a lot of the master comics do that. Richard Pryor used to do that. Eddie Murphy used to do that. Like, because that is the true alchemy of a master. Being able to change something.
Right.
Like, you changing tragedy into comedy. That's why he closed his last 3 specials with very, very serious topics. Daphne Dornan, who I do remember when she was starting to do stand-up, in an incident that happened with her. He closed the show with COINTELPRO.
What happened to her?
You didn't see the closer?
Maybe.
Where she was an open micer and she started doing stuff. She was a trans comic and
a transsexual?
Yeah, and she got a lot of backlash and stuff like that
for being a transsexual comic.
Yeah, and then she ended up committing suicide.
Oh shit, that's fucked up.
Yeah, he talked about that. He talked about COINTELPRO, which is a very, you want to talk about not conspiracy theory, because this actually happened, but like he talked about what was the other one he was talking about? Oh, he closed with talking about Pimp. The Iceberg Slim novel.
Oh yeah.
The story with him where he's talking about what happened to him.
I remember that. Yeah, no, I do remember that one.
When like I feel like if you're a master and you're a master at telling jokes, you can talk about something that's so rough. That's why I'm just like, oh, you shouldn't joke about that. Like, no, that's exactly when you should. Am I gonna do it? Probably not. But if I find a way to do it, like when I was going through that last breakup, I needed something to save me. Like I needed comedy to save me. And I was nervous about doing it, and I still talked about it. And then that was the thing that ended up resonating with people, which I didn't expect. So there is some thought to it, and I know it's something I should probably examine more, but it's scary.
Damn, that makes me think. Yeah, nah, that's true. Because I feel like the darkest moments are the funniest.
And also, when it's dark, like there's a thing about living this life that sometimes the shit gets so fucking dark it's hard to see anything.
Yeah, and then when you have someone that's like just almost, I don't know, like touching the border of like this fucked up world, and then also just making fun of it at the same time, kind of gives you a bit
it
like,
returns you to your sanity, because if you could laugh about something, then you know that you could survive it, because that is a receipt showing that you went through something.
Right.
And shit, man, maybe I again romanticize it because I love it, but like I went through some hard times growing up. That doesn't make me unique at all, but what does make me a little bit unique is that I found something early on that really, really got me through that. I used to love watching comedy, and I like when the household was tumultuous or something like that, I would always turn it on and feel so much better. So I knew there was something in it, but I just didn't know how to touch it. And then when I became a comic, I had a couple of instances where people came up to me and said, like, man, this was a hard week, or something bad has happened, and this took my mind off of it. And that's where some of the nobility comes back to it, where you're like, man, I'm actually doing something that's worthwhile. I mean, like, I don't get paid in chicken wings and shit, but like, it's still something.
Starting to go. Yo, so I have this part in this podcast, right, where I asked the person, I'm like, yo, is there any question that you could imagine giving to people, but
I ask questions to people all the time.
But you never you never ask them. Like, has there ever been a question that you never asked that you're curious to ask people? Maybe it's a specific
like
group?
a general question.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a general question. It could be a very it could be open ended, it could be closed ended, depending on how you look at it. But or depending on however you want.
I mean, I sneak up on people too. So like, because I just love talking to people.
Okay.
And people a lot of times end up talking to me a lot just because I love sort of chopping it up like that, and I can talk about literally anything. And the thing that usually gets me is I see how people date.
All right, but give me a question. Give me a question that I can go out into the public with, and because it's something that I'm doing new in my podcast, right? So I'm going to take that question, I'm going to go out into the public, and I'm going to ask that question to somebody.
What's your guilty pleasure?
All right, what's your guilty?
Some dumb shit, some dumb shit that you love, and you feel like you almost have to defend yourself by even bringing it up. But it's something that you actually like, and it's dumb. You know it's dumb, but you love it. Everybody has those things, and I just love when people talk about something.
I'm going to ask it right now.
So what is your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is getting lit.
Okay.
And watching Game of Thrones.
I copy. Thank you.
And we're back. But, all right, what's your guilty pleasure?
I don't know. I like to fill my life with them now, which I think is fun. I used to, like, one of them used to be, like, Strawberry Quick. I used to love that shit.
Strawberry Quick?
Yeah. It's just, like, and I loved it when you buy it because you can't, like...
What is that?
Like, Strawberry Nesquik.
Oh, Nesquik. Okay.
Yeah. Like, man, I used to love that shit. So I like, guilty pleasure stuff is like that, where you're out like, dude, aren't you a grown-ass man? I'm like, yes, and I love this. Like, I like shit like that because it gives a little bit of an insight to people's quirkiness, which I love. And I love people, and I love figuring out more about them. And a lot of times I like to ask about something that's not normal. That's what I don't like about dating. Because dating it's become a bunch of interview questions, and it's dumb. Like, I don't give a shit what you do. I don't give a shit about...
Oh, you mean like at this stage in your life, dating is that?
I feel like it's always been that.
Always been that?
Yeah, but you're just playing that game before. Like, now, when I'm talking to people, I don't give a shit about what you drive. I don't give a fuck what you do, because that's not who you are. It's not like we're in medieval times and your last name is Blacksmith because you're a blacksmith. Your occupation has very often very little to do with who you are. So I want to ask people about shit that they're passionate about, because when their eyes light up like that, and people love talking about the shit that they're passionate about. Absolutely. So you give them a little bit of runway to talk about that, you learn so much more about them than you would asking them a goofy ass interview question. And that's the thing I don't like about dating, because a lot of it is predicated on that. Especially now with all the apps and shit like that. I'd rather just meet somebody in the wild. Like, yeah, like now.
But I feel like,
have that
yeah,
moment.
but that's the best moments, man. But like, you can't say that. I feel like dating is dope, bro. You're like, nah.
You're a pretty person.
Nah,
too.
bro,
So, like,
come
you're
on,
like,
shut up, bro.
It's like,
Come
yo,
on,
man, I got
son.
this workout regimen
Nah.
and shit like that. Like, it's going well for you. You got fucking nice hair.
Bro,
You
come
got
on,
you got a lot of flair. You get
Bro.
to wear linen shirts and whatnot.
Bro.
I gotta hide my shit.
Bro, come on, man. Like, yo, listen, man. All I'm saying is that dating could be fun. It depends on how you do it, and
It can
depends
be.
depends on who you're on the date with, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yo, dates could be fucking fun as fuck.
It can be, and I'm like starting to learn that now, but at the same time, the problem is what other people might expect from a date. And if it doesn't look like that, then they want something so badly.
But you seem like the type of guy that is a very like analytical viewer. So I'm sure that you could find the particular type of girl to take on that type of date with.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're gonna choose the type of girl that's not gonna be a fucking good time for you, then it's just like, all right, then you wasted your own time because you fucking should have caught that from the jump.
But sometimes you don't, or sometimes something else will get you into it.
True.
I mean, have you ever had that where you've been with somebody and like something happens, like girls are calling it the ick and shit now, but it's like we get that too. The problem is like we just find, all right, I already don't like this person, but they have something that I can still probably try to go for and then just not deal with the rest of that again. But I've dealt with that a couple of times where somebody just did something that it just felt bad, and I'm like, I already don't like this. And so you just do whatever you can to make it interesting for you. And then they come back around because they like you more, and I'm just like, oh, well,
and you know why though, right?
Yeah, because you usually it's they put up that wall or something like that because of something.
No, that's
not a single offense.
That's not what I'm saying. You know why?
Oh,
I'm saying you know why she starts to like you more.
Oh, because you're not invested in that. You're not trying to get something.
Ain't
anymore.
that some shit though?
Yeah, but I mean that's anything.
But ain't
that's the
right.
That's the nature of biological being.
What the fuck? No.
So dumb.
No, be specific. Be specific.
Is how women are.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But cats are like that too. That's I guess.
Wait, you said what?
I said cats like that too. So it's a very feline energy that's there.
I see what you're saying.
But I feel like that's anybody because it's like. You might have dealt with somebody that's like, oh man, they're cool, but then like when they want you too much, and you're just like, man, can I like breathe? I can't miss you if you don't go away. So like,
exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody has it. It's a law of attraction and repulsion. Like,
but I don't think it's for everybody too. But you find it like no, not necessarily that it. Life is weird, man.
Yes.
Don't you feel like sometimes like, okay, you don't do that to someone, but you do that to somebody else? Why? Is it God showing like, bitch, you're doing it to yourself now, how do you feel about it? Or is it like just chemical? Is it just depending on the... You know what I'm trying to say with this?
This is going to sound dumb before I say it, but I think it could be both and neither. Like, it's not like... I remember... where did I see this? I remember it was in Dogma back in the day where it says, like, even God has a sense of humor. Look at the platypus. Like, I'm refusing to believe that
excuse me,
God, whatever you perceive God to be, is something that's going to be like completely straight and direct all the time. It's going to give you a bunch of options, and then you just have to decipher it on your own. But also, I think that's kind of what we like about it. That's what we define as something that's working. That's how you know you're in something, because life is like that. You got to feel life sometimes too. So that's why that is happening. And then as you grow older, you have your proclivities and things like that. You decide there's certain things you don't want to deal with or you like less of, and you dial it in from there. And that's how you sort of get your own bent to things. If we're going back to talking about dating and stuff, I've never really dated. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, I've never, like, been out there dating and, like, oh, I got to date this week, blah, blah, blah. I've always been so shy that...
Why?
I don't like rejection.
You're a comic, though.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Chaos in man is a very interesting
You constantly deal with rejection.
Yeah, but it's something that's a little bit more on my terms, you know? where
Okay.
it's like.
That's also like
and
a
also
genre.
it's also diluted too because it's a crowd of people ideally. So if it's one person, it's like you could deal with a crowd rejection because it's like you don't really have a face. But then like if this person rejects you, you have it's so concentrated on you. There's no real escape from it. I don't say any of this like it's rational either because it's like fears are irrational. That's just how they are. Like I'm afraid of spiders. Couldn't tell you why. I'm not really afraid of anything else, but like
you won't just kill it.
I've gotten better with that, but like I can see spiders on a show or something like that, and you can see me tense up. Like it's a legitimate fear.
Wow.
But fears are irrational, so it's like your fear of rejection. I mean, I'll speak to myself about this. Your fear of rejection and being shy or whatever with girls, you could have your boys talk to you every damn week and have weekly interventions. Y'all know who I'm talking about how I'm putting pussy on a pedestal, or I'm like, you just have to have confidence or whatever.
You do.
So, whatever blanket bullshit that people tell you. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't make it go away. It
Doesn't make what go away?
It doesn't make the fear go away.
Okay.
Like, just because it's irrational doesn't make it any less
You ever got into a fight?
valid. Oh, yeah.
All right. First time you got into a fight, were you scared? Aren't you like a little scared every single time?
Yeah.
Okay, but like first time, definitely scared, right?
Yeah, well, also because like even if you want to get into a fight, you're not like fully like, oh, let's get in a fight. There's a little bit of fear that drives that too. So yeah, I feel like it belongs in all things.
So yeah, right? Wouldn't you say it's almost like in the same thing? Like you have to. It's a fight, but it's not really a fight, right? It's more like a dance, right? And like, there's gonna be moments that it clicks, and there's gonna be moments that it's not gonna click. But and this is a good conversation to have considering what just happened with the whole girl getting stabbed because a guy tried to holler at her and she rejected. And you didn't see this shit?
No, what happened?
It just happened on the news not so long ago. Yesterday.
Damn, what?
19-year-old girl, bro.
What happened to her?
So she got stabbed because she rejected this guy.
The dude stabbed her.
Stabbed her.
Fucking dudes, man. Dudes are such trash.
In
It's
New
like,
York, bro.
That's a pure ego driven thing. And I also feel like New York is like they're like the inventor of the catcalls. They might not have invented it, but they do it the best, and they still do it. Because so many things are like surrounding a male ego, which is fragile, and a lot of it just comes from entitlement.
I don't know, bro. I got something to say about the catcalls. If you
it's
want to talk about it, let's
it's
talk about
self-sabotage.
it.
But
No. The thing is that like it's bad, right? You shouldn't do it, right? Right? But I've seen it work mad times.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it work too.
Mad times.
And it
times.
makes you all pissed off?
Nah, it doesn't piss me off at all.
Oh, it used to piss me off because I
Nah.
used to be one of those fucking milady people. And I'm like,
Nah.
why do they keep getting away with
For
it?
me, it's interesting. And for me, it's just like, oh, I like, it comes from a place because like some girls like that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and some girls don't like that shit.
Right.
But then some girls do like that
And
shit.
even the ones that don't like it, there's an element of something like that they'll still use that they enjoy. Like, not on a direct scale, but like like I've seen it happen. It's frustrating because like I was definitely one of those people that tried to become what women said that they wanted from a man, and that kind of left me like running in circles because it's like when I get there, I'm like, hey, I'm doing all this stuff. How come I'm still not being picked? I think I was too wanting. I was too needy, and they don't want that. They probably like somebody that could do without them. But I'm like, oh, you're my world and this whole fucking thing. And like, I didn't get it until later. And this is what they were trying to tell me. The indifference of it has saved me more than anything else. Where I'm just like, I'm good and jaded now. I'm just like, whatever. Like, how much more awesome could you be? And you know what? And we'll figure that out. And then I'll decide my level of involvement past then. But yeah, it doesn't have to be an all-consuming thing anymore. We're just people. It's all right. Some could not work out, and that's okay. Like, like the stakes are not as big as they once were. And I think it's because I've seen things with super high stakes disappear, and I've seen things with super low stakes end up becoming awesome.
Let me ask you something. I feel like we all, as like men, like when we're on the streets, like we come across this type of situation, You tell me if you've came across it yourself, right? You're walking, regular day. Maybe it's sunny. Maybe it's not. I'm just painting the picture, you know?
I hear you.
You're walking down the street, right?
Uh-huh.
And for whatever reason, you just lock eyes with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
My natural state, the thing I've been doing since I was very, very young, and it's just a habit, is like once the eye contact's made, I'm like I look down right
See,
now.
that's where you fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No.
That is absolutely where I fucked up because I'm cutting off connection
Right.
with this whole shy thing.
Right.
Which doesn't really serve me. I understand that. Now,
Okay.
one of the things that really helped me with it was comedy, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like, you understand the give and take aspect of it.
Right.
And also how little it truly means in the grand scheme of things.
What do you mean?
Because it's like, yeah, this show could be fucking a nightmare if you try to put yourself out there in a way, throw a joke out there, you try to do this other thing in a way that doesn't work. You still got another show, though. So, in a much more direct sense, I was able, like, people always go like, oh yeah, well, they're like buses, there's always another one coming after them. Like, I don't give a shit about that. What I do give a shit about is that I'm finally understanding that I have something to offer, and I'm leading with that. And also, I'm leading with the fact that whatever it is you have to offer, I don't know that yet. You could be the finest girl in the room, but I can still enjoy that from where I am across the room. Yeah. So and as far as the rest of it goes, that's only really important to the people who are dealing with it at the time. So if you take that out of it, and I'm one of those people that thinks hot is not as important as cool, because I'm a hangouty up under a girl dude. Like I love hanging out, and if you're cool, that means so much more to me than you being hot. Because yeah, it'll get me there, but like the personality will hold me no matter what. But the people that are really invested in being hot don't really tend to invest very much in being cool.
She's gotta be cool, but she also gotta like suck your dick really good. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Do you
I don't
really
know.
feel like that?
Yes.
Because
yes.
Do you not believe in guidance?
No.
Okay, that's fair. You're allowed to.
I mean, like
at this
no.
point,
Don't get me wrong. Like I like guiding because I like saying shit, and then like she'll just do it. You know what I mean? Like that's hot to me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, like it just there is another element to like. But I don't know. I'm gonna tell you how I really feel about it. Right? It's just like it sucks because it's just like the girls that are so fucking good at it, they had to get good at it.
So what? We're not.
No.
None of us are planting a flag anywhere. Like, whatever.
No, right, whatever. Absolutely. But like sometimes, like you have to. I don't know. As a man, I feel like you have to understand and differentiate, right? Mm-hmm. Like sometimes the ones that are the best at it aren't necessarily the ones that are the best for you.
No, not at all. I totally agree with that.
But it's just like, damn, why can't it be both?
Why can't it be both?
Why can't it be both?
But that's the eternal conundrum. So let me ask you this then: how do you make it so? Are you just fucking scratching off a lottery ticket and hoping you're getting what you need, or do you create what it is?
No, but that's what I mean. But the thing about molding, there's problems with molding, and the problems with molding is that the origin came from you. And if the origin came from you, and for whatever reason there's a falling out, it's gonna be so bad for you.
Why?
And because generally, like, I feel like if you've been so attached to this person for so long, and like you're really just like showing this person exactly everything. Sometimes if you leave that person, like
your only reference is what you have with that person. You don't have really anything else.
For the other person, exactly. But the thing is that like in life, it really is a gamble. You know what I mean? Like I think that I really give power to the people that, or respect to the people that just stay Like they never even wanted to experience, you know what I mean? They're just like, you know what, let me just stay with this one person and just like rock out with life. You know, like
But what do they do when they? Because everybody has that moment. That's just how.
yeah, but
it goes.
at the end of the day, it's like you're gonna go through life, right? And you're gonna go through different changes anyway. Like you can go hop around from person to 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 person, but then at the end of the day, like, I don't know, like I just feel like you just keep on doing that. You don't really like.
But
stay.
there's a reason because you're still looking for the answer from without instead of within. That's
True.
the thing I'm trying to learn about myself now, where I'm like, I went through a pretty devastating breakup last year, and while you can't really see it, and why you don't really feel it sometimes, like on paper you're like, okay, everything happens for a reason, or this is just going to make you stronger, blah blah blah. It doesn't take away the hurt of it. Like you still have to exist with that hurt. The only thing that sort of helps you through it, or helped me through it anyway, was to be like, all right, this, my mom used to say this, your pain will be important to you someday. Something about this, if you learn nothing.
I like that.
If you learn nothing, you're just going to be going out completing your own mistakes anyway. If my true goal is to improve myself, then I have to take from this what I supplied in it, and also figure out why I am the way I am. Because if you're going from person to person to person, there's a reason for that. And you might be looking for something that from people that can't answer that question. You could answer those questions that you have. Well, and that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Like I've never really dated, so I'm like, you know what? Be single for a little bit. Just enjoy that. Don't feel like you have to become a part of somebody else's world, which I truly felt like I had to do because I knew how to supply myself. I'm like, apply myself. Where I'm like, I know exactly what you need. So I'm going to try to make sure I'm there for that. And it's like, in the process, I'm losing myself every time. And then when somebody's asking me, what do I need? Well, I'm like, I don't have an answer. My goal now is to find the answers to that. So I can be a more complete person and better apply myself to somebody else.
I like
Plus, I'm getting old and jaded now, too. So I'm like, I'm getting less of a fuck. Yeah.
Jaded in what aspect? Like, in what sense? In what way? Like, what's making you jaded? Like, women?
No, just the whole thing. Like people aren't awesome all the time.
Yeah, but are you awesome all the time?
No, but that's the whole point. Like, what am I looking for? How do I communicate that to somebody? And how do I reinforce those boundaries?
Well, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it right now. All right, and this is just my perspective in my life. It has nothing to do with anybody. Don't take what I say. You shouldn't look at me as a fucking role model. Let's just get that out of the way.
This is going to be bad because there's a lot of preamble before he says it. He's like, I'm just thinking, like, women just deserve to be in the kitchen the entire fucking time. No. I'm a bad guy.
No. I'm not going in that direction at all.
No.
I just got out of a relationship, right? And, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, women do like me. I fucking.
You're not a fucking ogre or a creep. Not that I know of.
Nah. But like, I like talking to women, bro. Like, and like, sometimes for me, I have sex with certain women. You know what I mean? Like, and like, being single and just focusing on my craft and focusing on everything that I have to take care of. At this age right now, I don't know. I fucking kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie.
No, you have to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do.
You have to because you're learning what an investment in yourself looks like to other people.
Yeah.
Which is something I didn't ever really figure out. And now I'm trying to figure that out and abide by that a little bit more. And it's balanced that way because in order to attract somebody, you have to do things that attract them. But like, doing for yourself is part of that thing. Like, and also because you're investing in yourself like that, anybody that takes away from your investment in a profound way is not somebody that belongs in your life. And you had to learn that by investing in yourself. And you know what else is interesting? You're not going to deal with somebody that's not equally investing in themselves.
It's true. And it's also, I really, you know what's so crazy, bro? Is that when I was younger, and nowhere near as productive as I am today. All right, yeah, I smoke weed, but I still do mad shit. Don't get it twisted. I like smoking weed because it chills me the fuck out.
I think
and
those days are over where it's like people are burnouts and shit like that. Like you still get burnouts, but so many people smoke weed now. It's just like, oh, this has been happening for a minute, and people are still normal people. So
absolutely, I just think it depends on the person. You know what I mean? Like everybody has their thing that they really shouldn't be doing. Like for me, I would say is anything that's hardcore shit, like coke or anything like that, I'm not interested in. You know what I mean? Like I just like smoking my weed. I'll drink every now and then. I have this right here because it was my birthday the other day. So you know what, like.
Oh yeah, happy birthday!
Thank you. No, it's all good, bro. Thank you. And like I was just like, fuck it. Like let me just have this right here. You know, like enjoy this. While I offered you some, you said you were good because you too fancy for that shit. You're not having no fucking White Claw because you was like, I'll take cognac or whatever the fuck.
I
you
ain't say
say.
cognac. That's racist. I ain't say cognac. I said bourbon.
Bourbon.
You heard what you wanted to hear. That's messed up. I got profiled with my drink choice.
Nah,
like, we don't have any Douce here.
Yo,
like,
I fucking
don't
love
do me
to
like
say
that.
though. This has nothing to do with that. It's like I just heard some brown fucking liquor. I remember that shit.
Yeah. No,
but-
it's like you gotta have your system. I feel like
Yeah.
everybody's gotta have a code, and like once you have that, it's a little bit like you're not being a hero for somebody. The event is not leading you. You're leading the event. And that's an important thing to have. So like if you know that, then you
I really love it, bro. I love it, and I like being like I don't know if it's bad, but I really like being in control. I love being in control of my own life. I love navigating through it. Do I want kids one day? Yeah, it would be nice, but I also want to have like a successful life. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have kids if I can't have fucking everything that I want in it to have that kid to be able to like.
And how old are you now?
29.
Yeah, like you got so much time. You got so much time, and it's like one of the things I always.
You say that, but I feel like life be like
I mean, it
you have so
does.
much time, and then boom, I'm almost 30.
I was yeah, you're almost 30, and then 30 goes like that.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It
Because
does.
I felt like my 20s went like that. Like,
Right.
yo, I felt like, to be honest, though, I felt like from, like, a child to 18 took the longest.
Right, because you were just waiting to get out. Like, you
Right.
were waiting to do your own thing.
Right,
but then
right.
As
But then you get
as
out
older,
there,
your
it's
life
like,
is filled
holy
with jobs,
shit, everything,
recreational,
responsibilities.
friends, all this stuff. You had a structure before because you had to. Now, when you're in charge of your own structure, you let all these other things in, and now, like, the one quotient you forget about is time. Like, you work a full-time job, most of your waking hours are spent working. So then you have that, and you have the time you sleep, and then you have the time you do everything else. So things go by fast. And one thing that lets you know, do you have like nieces or nephews? Or like younger siblings or shit like that?
Nah, not really. Like, not that I know, like, of directly, because I was born in Venezuela, right? So, like, majority of my family was, like, there, majority of my life. And then, as of recently, because of all the situations that has happened in Venezuela, like, they all started moving out of Venezuela, too, but they're, like, all scattered. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't really, like, I didn't really grow up with my entire family, you know what I mean?
Like, my youngest niece just turned 8. And that bugged me out because it's like, it was no time. No time. Like 8 years passed in a blip.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, it's a good indication as like how fast time could go.
Yeah.
When you're seeing it through other kids, right? Like in your family. Like,
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
because
shit,
you're
like-
not paying attention to yourself.
Right.
In fact, no matter how old you get, when you look in the mirror, you still see that same person.
Right.
But meanwhile, I'm like, why am I this heavy? Where did my hair go? Wait, I like spinach now? Like, all this stuff happens, and you're not even paying attention. So now I'm trying to make sure I'm paying enough attention again and really like drinking it in. And because somebody said like, man, like you only got a certain amount of summers left. I'm like, oh my God, he's right. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have that many summers. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, I got maybe, like, if everything goes well, 20.
How old are
20
you?
I'm 43.
You're 43?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That even sounds weird to say because I remember I was like, oh, I'm 35. Ugh. And I forget about it. But everybody that bugs out about the age and shit like that, I always ask them this. Because you're 29 and you're like, oh, fuck. But would you go back to 19?
Yeah.
All right. Well, why would you go back?
Are you kidding me? Like, well, all right. First of all, like, you could ask any fucking rich old person if they could do that. Would they do that? They'd be like, hell yeah.
Because that's the one thing they can't buy.
Exactly.
Your bag don't mean
But
shit.
that,
if you
but
don't have
that,
your house.
yeah. So I feel like if you were given a token to travel back to time and do things all over again, you wouldn't take it.
It's a weird paradox because it seems like most of your life you'd say you would, but now I'm understanding. It's like the time.
Is
travel
that everything?
paradox.
Everything happens as it should.
Yeah, it's a time travel paradox. It's like every weird bad decision or heartache or whatever you had to go to are all pieces of a puzzle that led you to this moment here. So if this moment is truly important to you, then you needed all of that. What you do with it from then on is, I feel like, more important.
Yeah, but you never seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yeah.
All right.
Why'd that movie fuck up?
What?
Why did they fuck up in Hot Tub Time Machine?
What do you mean? How
Because they were trying to change some shit. And
Nah, but the end, bro.
Oh, and it's a comedy.
Well, fuck you, man. No, I'm kidding. Cause it could happen, man.
You didn't bring up butterfly effect. Butterfly effect is like, yo, that motherfucker should have just stayed his punk ass where he was. Showed up in an alternate future and he's got no arms. And like now you can't even snap your fingers to go change it.
That's
dumbass.
funny. That's so true though.
But I think about that more and more. That I'm just like, man, I'm trying to be better, and I feel like I'm a better version of myself every time I think about that. Like I look back at something, I remember what I didn't have, and I'm like, shit, I've got it now. I didn't even think about it, and it ended up being not as important as I thought it was. And you just sort of keep going. Like, it's to the point where I'm like, oh man, I fucked up there and I should have went back. You already know. Like, I know where I fucked up with my last relationship. I know where I fucked up with my last job. I know you have all this information now. So what do you do with it?
Yeah.
You didn't really learn shit if you're like, oh, I got to go erase it and get a do-over. You learn shit if you're like, all right, now I know what I'm worth and I know how I'm willing to tell that to people. And if you show up less than what I am worth, then I need to get out of there. Or else you're just repeating the same goofy shit anyway, and that is your time travel. Just being in the same spot.
Loop.
Yeah. That was another better one. Oh, no. No, Looper was dope.
No, I said loop.
Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking about Looper, another time travel thing.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar.
You never seen it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, watch that movie. That movie's a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very good. I'm not going to tell you
What's
anything,
your
but
all-time favorite movie?
It's impossible. I'm a movie nerd, so it's like I love movies.
Top 5.
I can't do it.
What
It's
the
too
fuck,
hard,
bro?
You're gonna have to
Top 5.
You're gonna have to give me very specific things like
Top 10.
Top 5 movies made by this person or some shit like that. I watch a lot of.
Fuck.
That-
All right. Top 5 American movies.
It's too broad.
What the? All right. Top 5 Marvel movies.
Jesus, even that's hard.
Bro, yo, come on.
All right, no particular order. Blade, because that's the thing that fucking set up the Marvel fucking studio. I loved Black Panther because of
Blade
how
was
I
the shit.
felt watching it. Like I'd never seen representation like that in a movie, especially a fucking comic book movie. And I felt like I remember Meteor Man. Meteor Man's not like a great flick, but it's fucking awesome because like you never see shit like that with black people. And watching that and seeing them come to Wakanda, you seeing all these different tribes of people and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I was blown away. It was like a moment for me that I didn't expect. Iron Man, because Iron Man was so fucking dope. Like, Iron Man is the reason why they have the MCU, because that shit was so dope. They're like, we could do this over and over. Endgame was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, for real.
Like, phenomenal. Like, it was a long movie, and it was just so good. Shit, I'll just throw this in there, Deadpool, because he was fucking a pariah.
Needed?
He was.
Would you say needed?
No, he was like Ryan Reynolds.
No, but would you say needed?
What?
Would you say as needed? Would you say he's a needed character?
Deadpool is so fucking awesome. It needed to be done right, and Ryan Reynolds was a perfect person to do it. But he was a fucking pariah with superhero movies because he did Green Lantern before that. So the fact that he did this and put up his own money is just like, look, I have to do this. and it was so good.
He put up
because
his own money
He put up a lot of his own money for
to
it.
do it?
Yeah, because like
To get it done?
Yeah, because nobody wanted to fuck with
For real?
with him doing it, and he's like, I have to do this because I know how this is. He was a Deadpool comic book fan, and he knew how to do it correctly.
Wow.
And he gambled on himself, and it won big. And,
Huge.
Yeah, and I love when shit like that happens. Peace to Killer Mike for just doing that shit.
Wow.
He put out his own money.
Killer Mike too?
Killer Mike just put out his own, like, he completely self-produced this project.
Deadpool?
No, he Killer
Because
Mike.
bro, you come on, you just going from one.
I got a lot. Like I told you, I got a lot of shit in there.
You gotta break
But,
it down.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Killer Mike put up all his own money to self-produce his last album, and it swept the Grammys for hip hop categories. It got best hip hop song, best hip hop album, and then some other third thing. But it's like he gambled on himself and fucking won.
You fuck with Run the Jewels?
Oh fuck yeah, I love them. I love LP. I love both of them, and it's like I loved them before they were Run the Jewels. So I love that they had this whole other movement with it. And they were saying, I'm glad that Mike made this album because they were saying like, oh, would you go back to your solo shit? They're both like, nah. But again, creatively, you got some shit you want to say.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he did it, and it was such a personal project. I love when people do something that's personal and it's a risk and it pays off. Because it doesn't always do that. It's not a one-to-one by any stretch of the imagination.
It's a fact.
So like
I understand.
Yeah, so I love championing those causes because it's like any move with heart, any move that's done with heart is a good move, I think.
I think so too.
So like even if it doesn't equate to commercial success, you had something that you had to say or express and you did it, and that's in the books. And I'm trying to make sure I remember that because I want to continue to do that. Like I know my boy. He works at Diamond Dogs. Shout to Sketch 185. He's a dope rapper. Okay. And I was there for this whole process of him making this last album, and then he puts it out with all this personal stuff and all this other thing, and it's the best thing he's ever done. Like easily, I'm a fan of his, and it's the best thing he's ever done. And then he was getting all types of like articles written about it, talking about it as one of the best albums of 2023 and all this other shit. And then he's like, man, you just need to fucking do the album. Like, you could hate your shit later. Just put it out. Yeah. And after he says that, I'm like, I got to do something. So now I'm just working on compiling the material.
Yeah, because, yo, at the end of the day, like, all right. So, Picasso. Mm-hmm. What do you remember of Picasso?
Cut his ear off. Oh, that's Van Gogh.
No, Van Gogh. Art-wise.
Oh, like what pieces?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them. I like Picasso.
Yeah.
I like that. Like he's the.
Like you know about Picasso?
Yeah, but he's the it's his stuff that like anything that's even close to that is like, oh, it's Picasso. It's like he made such a name for himself that like that is what you call it when somebody's doing abstract art.
Right. Okay, but you probably know Picasso furthermore, like in terms of the artist and the several periods he's gone through, right? Because he went through several periods. Mm-hmm. What I mean by periods is that he went literally, like, that's how he illustrated his work. He went through the rose period, he went through a blue period, he went through many periods in his artistic field. But people generally remember him through, like, the human abstracts drawings and stuff like that. That's
well,
what
mine
they relate.
Guernica was the
Guernica, Guernica, on Spain.
Yeah.
Right, for the Spanish Civil War. That was the representation of the dying horse, the dying nation. Like, but it's interesting because, you know, he went through many periods of his life, but people only remember certain things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's everybody. So it's like we go through many stages as an artist, but it's important to keep on putting out work. Yeah. Because
to create is what an artist's journey is.
Right. So like I definitely understand what he's saying. Like you just drop the album, you know what I mean? Just drop the work, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like...
Because I always hate 60% of my shit at any given time. I'm like, no, this could be better, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
it's
just
your period.
Fucking get it out.
It's your period.
Yeah.
That's your time. That's like, those are your periods through time. Like, it's who you were, you know what I mean? Like, I give a lot of respect to that because at the end of the day, it never existed before.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's how you leave your mark. Like, as long as you have something that you leave behind.
Right.
That's what it is.
Unless if you're one of those like, what the fuck is that? Aren't original.
Shit, even then, it's like that's what you covet. So it's like,
So it's
yeah,
still original.
yeah. But it's
What
like,
is original?
I don't know, something that's uniquely yours. It doesn't have to be something that's like.
But how could it be uniquely yours if there's nothing new under the sun?
There's always something new under the sun.
You think that?
Your eyes have never been made before, so therefore your perspective.
I see
is
what you're saying.
you lend to it. Like,
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Like, do you know how many musicians have said that there are only a certain amount of
That's
notes,
a good point.
but how you play them can be changed. Like you can't have people like Coltrane or fucking Tom Morello or any of these other people that like changed the sound of something and tell them like they're the same. It's all the same notes. Like there's always something different you could do it, and even if you don't do what it is that you do, and the people will come to it or not. Like if an artist's job is to create, that's your end of it. How it's received or whatever. Like I was in a conversation with some other comic when we were talking about the concept of genius, and it's like genius is not up to us. It's genius is the stuff that's how it's received, and then they define whether they think it's genius or not. But it's like if you go out trying to create genius, you're not really gonna do it.
Well, would you say Elon Musk is genius?
I'd say he's a.
Would you say Albert Einstein was genius?
Yeah, but I mean, like I'd say like they're intensely smart people, and they've done something where it's like you can see that you could see where they've done something where there was a time before them and then there was a time after them. I think Elon Musk's ass has to figure out what is it he wants his legacy to be, because a lot of people are going so fucking crazy with the genius thought that they have no real, I don't want to say a check on their trajectory, but they might be bastardizing their impact, you know, like what are you truly doing for the fucking greater good of it? Not that it has to be that all the time, but if you're purporting yourself to do something for the greater good, like how do we see that? I remember when he was talking about like, oh, how somebody said like he could use a couple of $1 billion and end hunger for parts of these places. He could easily do that. And then I thought they said he did something where he was giving up a little bit of money to do something like that after a lot of duress. How much different would his impact have been if he had just said he was going to do it and didn't have people have to sign a petition, be like, hey, do this or else you're a piece of shit. Like he could have done that himself and been up under that.
That's a good point. But then what would be your...
And I'm not even saying you have to do that.
Well, what is genius to you then?
I don't know. I think genius is resonance. If it comes to art, where
Nah.
where it helps you look at something in a different
Not
way.
art. What is genius in humanity?
There's something where it changes the way of thinking. Like it changes it. Whether or not you ascribe to it, it changes the way things are thought of. Or now you understand that there's this other viewpoint. But I also think a lot of genius is, if it's not theoretical, like if it's not like formula, then it's how it appeals to you. Because if it makes you think in a different way or it hits you in a very specific way, that's when genius is painted with a bit more of a broad stroke. But yeah, other than that, it's like you have to sort of, there's a before you and then there's an after you. I feel like that's the best. And I also feel like most of the time genius is something that is aspired to and very rarely ever held.
Who would you say was a genius in history?
I always loved James Baldwin. Just the way he was thinking about things in a time that he was saying them. He was somebody I always really admired, and then they always ask about like who in history would you like to have a conversation with, and he always pops up because I just loved but the reason that is because what he said kind of spoke to me in a very real way. I think Miles Davis was a genius.
But don't brush past that. What did he say that spoke to you in a real way?
The condition of race in this country, and a lot of times he would speak about it in a room full of people who did not share his ideal, and he put it in such a way that it was
Eloquent.
not just eloquent. It was like you could hold on to it. You could truly understand it. He had a way of putting things that was it was so accessible, even though he was using these beautiful words in an elevated language. I mean, he was a beautiful writer. He put it in such a way where you're just like, I didn't think about it that way. I totally understand where you're coming from with that. And I loved that about him. From a very young age, I thought stuff that he was saying was so amazing. Like how no matter what you think, he was talking about like black people and white people trading places, and like no matter what you think about what we have to deal with or where we come from, one thing that you can know for sure is that you would not like to be black here. And that was something that was a very nuanced and controversial thought. And he was saying that to people in order to sort of help them understand where he was coming from with that. And I loved that. I love that about him. And that he had so many other things that he could be called counterculture for, but it was his ideals that were the things that did that. So yeah, he pops up into my head, but that's just out of admiration, and that just goes back to saying what I was saying before, where it's just like he was genius to me because he made me think about something in a different way.
Now, when was the first time you you probably don't even remember, because you said you don't even remember the first time you got heckled, but what if you can, when was the first time you had a laugh?
Oh no, I remember a lot of those.
Yeah.
Because it's like I was kind of I was a show-offy kid. I was never like a class clown or something like that, but it's like I loved performing. And I remember just making adults laugh when I was younger, and that was like a big, profound thing. And I remember there was one time I remember this one clearly. Like I'm doing this stupid thing where I'm in a room full of adults, and I'm like, I was either dancing or doing something else, and it's like I put my shoes on my knees and I was walking around like it was like Dorf. And what I was doing, I don't really remember, and that's not the point of it really, but like how hard people that I've known, like these are adults, these are like my aunts and my uncles and my mom and my father, and like having them laugh that hard, it really does do something to you. Like you remember that fucking laugh, and that's something that like, man, that feels so good. I've gotta have that again. So there are certain points in my life when I was getting a laugh that big, and I'm just like, oh man, that felt awesome. And in college, I remember I was visiting a group of people. They were all watching a movie. It was like 9 or 10 people in a room, and I'm just standing up at the door. I just went to visit, and I'm just cracking jokes. And everybody in this room is fucking dying, just dying. And when I walk away from that, I'm like, man, that felt really good. And I just I didn't put it together at all. I love comedy too, but I'd never been to a comedy club. I didn't think that was some shit you could do.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's fucking, yeah, I could do that. But like, at the time, I'm like,
I don't think anyone could do that.
Who could be a comic? There's no fucking way.
A successful comic.
What's success?
Being able to live off your comedy.
That's one metric of success for sure.
Yes, definitely. Because look, think about it. Like, wouldn't it be dope that you wouldn't have to do any of those bullshit ass jobs besides comedy?
Do you think because well, yeah, but do you think because you are a quote unquote successful comedy, you don't have to do some bullshit ass jobs?
Nah, you're still gonna have to. But wouldn't it be dope that, like, I don't know, you don't have to?
I mean, that's the goal, but even the fucking famous people have to do some shitty jobs sometimes. Like, that happens. Like, they'll get some show where fucking Nick Swardson was just on some shit where they cut off his mic and they escorted him off stage. Nimesh Patel had that shit happen to him in Colombia, where it's like they cut his mic off and told him he had to leave and shit.
Why though?
Because they were offended by what he was saying. I don't know what happened with Nick Swartzen, but Nick Swartzen was like trying to stay up there and shit like that.
I don't know what people expect.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. You don't really know what they expect, and no one's immune to a fucking hell gig. Not one person.
Hell gig?
Yeah.
What
like,
is that?
Where, like, you're doing this fucking thing, and it's like, oh, man, it's going to suck, but they're paying, so let's go. And those might not even start off as hell gigs, but they certainly became hell gigs. And it's just what it is. Like, you just got to...
I see what you're saying. It's easy to say certain things, but then when you go through it, it's like,
Yeah.
well, this happens and this happens.
Yeah.
So how are you going to respond to it?
Right. Like, in the very beginning, there was a comic, I think he still lives here, his name's Pat Dixon. Very, very funny comic. But we were talking about what success is, and he's like, it's very unfair to equate success with, like, fame. That's like saying you own a successful restaurant, but you're not a success because you're not as popular as McDonald's.
Man, listen, I don't need to be as fucking popular as Joe Rogan. I just want to be able to fucking like live off of my shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
That's success to me.
I would love to be able to
If you
support
crack that
myself.
code, if you crack that code in this fucking matrix, you fucking are successful.
Now,
In my eyes.
I would absolutely love to be able to fully support myself with things I create from my mind. I think that'd be amazing. But I also have to acknowledge the fact that A, that's not going to be able to happen all the time, and B, I might get that and still have to come back to something that's not that.
Or you might get that and not even realize you wanted it.
Yeah. Or you could get it and it does something to you that you don't like. That could happen too. Like, it's just like, now you got to support this lifestyle.
But everything can happen. I don't know. Like I like that. I don't like that argument so much because I feel like life shit is gonna happen to you so much that you are gonna be affected either way. So then, like, what the fuck is the point besides not going in the direction of being successful in what you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Like, all I ever wanted to be was a living comic, like a working comic living in New York. And I got to do that. I'm doing that now. So it's like, now what else do I want to do? Now I'd like to, I don't know, I'd like to have a little bit more avenues to do what I'm working without having to break my ass going across the country for it. I would like to challenge myself with other avenues with it. I'd like to do some writing. I definitely came here because I wanted to do voiceover work. I would love to do voiceover work.
Voiceover work for like what, cartoons and shit?
Anything.
Yeah?
Anything.
How do you even start with that?
Well, that's what I'm currently kind of fucked up on. I've done a little bit of voiceover work and I'm still trying.
How'd you get that?
One of them was somebody I met at Highwater. He owned a production company and he was trying to get a voice for something and he threw me a bone.
That's what's up.
A couple other times I auditioned for stuff and then just threw some stuff in. I've done phone trees. I've done announcements for things.
What are phone trees?
To continue this call in English, press 1. Para español, presione dos. Like something.
Really?
Like, yeah, I've done those.
That's pretty good.
I've done a couple things here and there, and I really love doing it. I've always been fascinated with voiceover work. I think that if I had my druthers, if everything in the world was awesome, I would just be doing stand-up, maybe writing on something, doing some acting here and there, and doing voiceover work. And I'd be cool with that.
Okay.
I mean, that's still asking a lot, but
I mean, hey, go get it. You know what I'm saying?
no, I'm going for it. I'm still trying to do writing submissions and everything like that now. I'm trying to impress upon myself that I'm responsible for the preparedness of the opportunity.
Do you feel like there's anything holding you back?
Me? It was always me.
Uh,
Yeah, like I could always be doing more.
yeah,
And I can't sit there and
I feel that.
and blame circumstances outside of me because it's like I've seen people that were working harder, and I just got to be like, well, why am I not working that hard? And if it's circumstantial, like, oh, well, I needed to pay rent or whatever else, I'm like, that's cool. Everybody needs to do that. But what are you doing to make sure that you can do that? That's why this new job thing seems a little bit cool because I got a lot of downtime. So I'm like, I have no excuse not to be able to work on something even while I'm at my job.
That's a fact.
So
So
I'm excited about
You
it.
say you're like, you know, you want to do writing and shit. Like, you want to do like writing like skits and shit too?
I mean, whatever writing I can do. I would love to write for roasts. I think that'd be fun. do punch up stuff. I think it'd just be interesting to have a creative aspect that they.
Can you come up with, like, what I'm asking more so is, like, can you come up with comedic material that would be drawn out in a skit video format?
Yeah, I've written a few of them.
Yeah?
Yeah, especially during the pandemic, I started because I thought I was just going to be at home the entire time, and I used to have those weird fantasies about that. Like, what if I was under house arrest, but like I wasn't in jail? I would just have to be in my place and still have the internet, still have my TV, all this other shit. What would I do? And sadly, I never really got that during the pandemic because I was working the entire time. But I was like, all right, well, I could probably do some writing, maybe get some shit to get a podcast going or whatever. And I was really going for it. So I was writing a few things and got a couple of scripts. I started one thing that was going to be a pilot, and I kind of fell off on that one. But then I finished a couple of short sketches that would be easy to film that I just had in my head forever.
But for you to write out an entire skit is no problem, right?
I wouldn't say it's no problem because I've never really had to do it, but I think that's part of the challenge of it. It's like, oh, if I had to do something, like, oh, hey, we want you to write this thing. And I'm like, okay, now I got a bit of a directive for it. Let me see what I could do. I think that would be a good challenge for me, and I could do that myself. But
you would only, I'm assuming you would only want to be incentivized if it was with money, right?
No, because a lot of this stuff I'm not doing for money right now anyway.
All right, so what's good, bro? Like we want to work together on something?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
You're right down the street.
Yeah, so like I feel like if you come up with a comedic skit, right, an idea, let's say 3, 4, 5 people, maybe even less, whatever, how many people you need, right? And I could have people, and I could use my video camera. We could figure out the settings, because right now I have it set to in an indoor environment. But I could set it to outdoor environments. I could set it to different shit. You know what I mean? And we could come up with an idea for a skit. Maybe it could be like a 5-10 minute skit. Would you be interested?
Yeah, I love any opportunity to do something creative.
No, but I'm serious though. Like I don't just say it either.
I'm talking to you like you're serious. I'm around. Like, that's the beauty of me being in New York and what I wanted to be here for. I'm around a lot of serious people. Like everybody that I'm around is trying to get something, and they're here hustling for it. So anytime something like this comes up, I keep saying, "Oh yeah, well I'm looking for an opportunity to do something. This is what I'm talking about." So when this comes up, I'm like, "All right, cool. What are we doing?" And that is how I'm going to create that. Well, I was able to do that as soon as I got here. A friend of mine from DC had this web series where he was being like a fake therapist to people. So he had a bunch of comics on that thing, and I got in on that, and that was an ability. I had the ability to write, co-write that with him, and that was cool. And then I did another web series. I've done like a few of them, and I like that creative process. I like being in a room with a bunch of people creating stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I'm all about that. When that stuff comes up, I'm like, yeah, I don't see why not.
I bet. That's what's up. Let's definitely do that, man. And what would you say to your younger self?
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Like, it's gonna suck. I have to tell myself that every day. Just keep going. A large part of you just getting what it is you're looking for is just being in there. Just don't quit. Don't give up. It's gonna seem like it sucks, but eventually, everything will just become part of the story you tell. And I'm still telling myself that. So I feel like if I could tell myself that, then I could get myself used to doing that.
Right.
And then be back here still saying that.
Is there anything you want to say to the audience that's watching? You want, like, to the people that are watching, you want to say anything to them?
If you drive a BMW, you're a piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. Make sure you keep supporting the podcast and
the camera just died.
Oh, that's hilarious!
Yeah, but the audio's still running, so it's
okay.
Okay.
Support local podcasts and support local artists and stuff like that. And it is a hard time, and now a lot of people won't even give you stuff unless you got some type of viral presence. and it's goofy, and I'm glad that's kind of stopping. Like TikTok, I hope TikTok gets extinct. I think that'd be fucking hilarious. But supporting the artist will help grow the art because it will get better with it and stuff like that. So I think that's an important thing to do.
That's a fact, man. I definitely agree.
It's why I'm here, and I feel like that's also why I was invited. Because we're all supporting.
That's it, bro. We're all doing something. We're all trying to be active within it, especially within New York City. Is a beast, you know?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to be here, man. Like especially we're in a fucking community of artists.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
We're living a rich life just because we're around people that are creating.
Yep. Yo, do you have any questions for me?
Oh man, I got tons, but I'm just gonna have to save them for another time because they're gonna come up as I go up because I'm getting to know you more. So
I got you.
dope.
So not even one question before we go?
What was the most annoying interview you had, or the one that like made you the most uncomfortable?
Oh, fucking.
You don't have to name names or nothing.
Episode 10.
Wow.
Yeah, just look at episode 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that the shortest one too?
Nah, it was long as fuck.
Oh.
Yeah, but like, it's just the only one that I didn't plan.
Mm.
It was the only one I never actually planned. It was the one that just like, it happened after a fucked up night, and I was just like, oh, let's do a podcast.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So do you feel like it was because of the other person, or you were bringing the bad juju to it?
I think it could have been both, but then it's also a dynamic of like, the person, like there was a few people that came through that I didn't know, and like one of the girls, she was just like the whole time with this fucking attitude, you know what I mean? Like, and like I get it, we came from a bad night, and to make a long story short, I trusted somebody that I shouldn't have, and like we were supposed to perform at this spot, so we had people come out to the spot, and that guy was like a phony ass motherfucker, and like didn't even connect me to the right people. So we all went there, and that shit was like closed, and it was like, yo, we wasted time, you know what I mean? And we went back, but the people that I came back with, you know, I felt bad. We went out, we got drinks, I paid for everybody's drinks, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying like sorry for that time wasted, you know what I mean? And then when we come back, like, and that whole time that we were there, like, I don't know, I feel like that girl was just giving me, like, mad bad vibe with it. And I don't even know why I said, oh, yeah, we could all come back, because I should have really analyzed. But, yeah, tap into that. If you want to see it, you can see it. It's in episode 10.
All right. You knew exactly. So.
Yeah. But where can the people find you?
HERBIE GILL on everything. Website, Instagram, Facebook, if you're that old. I'm looking on bolstering the TikTok, but I hope TikTok gets blown up before I get a chance to do that, because I'm an old fuck, and I'm like, I would like to not do that. But yeah, it's on YouTube too. I'm in the process of cycling out some of the older stuff and putting some new stuff on there.
Copy.
And yeah, that's it.
So yeah.
Thank you for having me, man. This is an honor.
Thank you.
It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah.